Stream Elements said the busy builder is now live, streaming miniatures.
I'll walk the altar of your heaven, trace the bloodline of your throne. Every prayer you sold for power, every soul you claimed as your own. Watch me rise from the wreckage. Iron fist through holy blood. I ripped the wings from the ascended, drag the halos through the dirt. Crown of thorns meets crown of steel, let them choke on what they're worth. Gods bleed just like mortals when you sever what they worship. Tear the hymns from screaming mouths, silence every sacred verse. You built your kingdom on submission, fought your law from fear and shame. But the hands that raise you higher are the hands that strike the flame. I am the bullet through devotion, I am the knife that cuts the cord. Titanium teeth through marble skin, the end of every whispered word. Celestial thrones are burning, feel the weight of empires fall. Divine blood pulls at my feet, I am the reaper of you all.
Hello. We are here. Holy crap. Sorry, just had a nasty sneezing fit. Waiting for that to subside a little bit. Ugh.
This is rebellion in the marrow. This is vengeance made of
Where did I put my paint thing?
the heavens crack beneath my heel. I am the god's lair. I am the fire.
This. Red. White. Blue. Where's blue? Blue. Yellow. Sorry, just going through and getting up all the main colors I think I'll need for this, based on what I'm seeing. Black, gray. Okay. Okay. Hope everybody's having a good New Year so far. Oh, sorry. Keep clicking the wrong thing. I have no organization today.
Ohio stranger. Belated Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, old boy.
No worries, Moody Paul. How you doing? I may have just selected the wrong brush for this. I did. Yeah, I wanted to stream on New Year's Day, but I woke up and my back was not having it.
Moody Paul said doing better. Getting by same old, same old.
Oh, I know who that is.
Paranoia in the silk and the fabric I spill. Every stitch is a kill, every thread is a thrill. Drowning in the cash flow, let it flow on my skin. Came up with the link that they know me begin. They want loyalty but gave me serpent eyes. Now I'm striking out couture, watch the venom rise. Androgynous DJ with the switchblade smile. Seductive on my violet deadly, we want a mile. Rockstar with a grudge, alien and free.
Moody Paul said, Hove you been keeping? Been a good bit since I've stopped by.
I've been doing okay. We're about a third of the way for saving on the Humvee. A lot more to go, but a lot less than before. You know how it is, though.
Moody Paul said that's what we like to hear.
Why do I keep clicking the wrong shit? Just getting frustrated with myself, obviously. I go to click from one window to another and I accidentally click on shit on here and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Besides being a moron.
Moody Paul said no change there then lol.
Yeah, for the most part, you're right, yeah. You're one of the OGs, so I'll allow it. Just been having a difficult time with my coordination lately too, so just taking things easy. I'm still getting things done, just having a bit harder time with it.
Moody Paul said HBING the same here. My bad shoulders giving me jib. Want move when I command blood trail.
Yeah, kind of the same, just either not moving exactly when you want them to, or twitching at the last second when you really don't want it to.
Moody Paul said human nervous system's a sod like that.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing there. Don't know how much of that you'll see from the front. Absolutely nothing, so, okay. But you might see it from the top. Okay, I need to see the fuel tank again. Things going okay there regardless, though? I don't know how much of this you're going to see because of how I have to hold it. What the hell? You're hearing that, right?
Moody Paul said status K lol. Last surprised me with a Dremel, which is NCIE.
You heard the music.
How long I keep all my FNG
No,
FS.
the music coming through
Moody Paul
the
said
microphone
I'm
here, not my headset.
Moody Paul asks your Alien SFX, right?
It sounded like the headphones and my main stereo were playing at the same time because the bass just went up. Great, now we have audio issues.
Moody Paul asks RF Bluetooth interference?
No, it's all analog, no wireless.
George Davis 7629 said, "Hey builder."
Hey George.
Moody Paul said, that's a odd one."
Probably just a bad wire jack. Where are my tweezers? I just had them out. I have a feeling of how today's stream's gonna go. Where is my insert certain whatever here? I just had that. Where's my brain? I just had that. Accidentally damaged that test fitting it. Wow. If this keeps up, I might just write off today. Give me a sec. I don't know how things keep getting so fucked up. I don't change anything in between streams. Welcome to a world full of bad coordination. Then again, I have had evidence of Arnie, or not Arnie, Frankie, being on the table at night. So that might explain why wires are out of place and other things. Found my little metal canister of styrene on the floor, spread all over the place. So.
Moody Paul said, "Ah, that would do it."
Great cat, annoyingly curious. So nothing's radically moved, but just enough that it's outside my normal range. So it interferes every time I move something. But I'll be on today and tomorrow. Then I got another at least 5 days straight work period. I'll do my best to get a stream in during the week. But I haven't seen next week's schedule yet. Hey, Aries is with us. But sorry again to everybody for not being on the first. I needed a day.
At the model student 20 said a hearty howdy.
Happy New Year. A crew for the Abrams should be here today. And sometime in the next week, I'm going to put together the list of everything one would need for the Back to Basics builds. And this could work with any kit, so you don't have to get the exact kit I'm using, but if you wanted to kind of join along and try out the techniques, you can. Making sure I've got everything I need. I mean, there's always going to be more stuff that I miss, but I want to move on to the next majority color. So we're going to do some olive drab next. But how has everybody else been? Oh, what is your guys' opinion? This is just a test. And I'll show you where I've been starting and where I've been going. So trying to get something to look damp. You don't want it to be like glossy. So this is just one really thin skim coat of clear. Right? See how it's got a shine to it, but it just looks semi-gloss. This is that with just random brush streaks applied over it. And you can see how the different thicknesses of the gloss give it different, you know, reflections. This is multiple layers with a fan brush that's been wet, and when they get wet they get just weirdly spiky. And then I just kept going back, putting in different layers. And then up here is like different mixes of the same different things. This is moistened and fan brushed. And yeah, these are done just with like a regular brush, kind of like this, just one light layer, then go back with another. I think the fan brush one works the best.
Moody Paul said good work as ever, nails a damp effect. ID say the turret and side skirt effect are best. On the front plate looks good, booted, use it for odd streaks only.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
Moody Paul said like beads of water running down a surface.
Yeah, which is what I'm going for. I want to put this on the M60 where it would be applicable. For the top, I was just going to get it, you know, one thin coat, and then kind of tap the brush over it to make more random wetter spots, and then kind of go from there. And then if I want to, after that, add a little bit of the frost effect, but not too much. That's what I've been kind of playing with. Not exactly something you can do on stream, since you've got to stop and let it dry to figure out what the heck's going on.
At the model student 20 said looks it's cold and starting to thaw in the morning.
And that's the idea, because all of the pictures I could find, the tanks are either absolutely...
That's why when I stream I am working on like 3 different projects. Lol.
I tried doing that. It got to be a bit much. I try and keep the stream centered on one, maybe two. But, and that's what I'm going for. I just found that either the tanks, once they're moving, are essentially fully thawed out.
Moody Paul said that or maybe try messing about with a very small amount of UV resin.
Nope, not touching resin. You can't reverse that. It's too out of scale. You can't scale water, unfortunately. So it's easier to give the effect of it than try and replicate exactly. But they're either wet from being frosty and then melting because they're runnings, they've gotten in the sun. Even our jets at Lakenheath, if they got frosty, as soon as the slightest bit of sun got out, even overcast where you wouldn't think it would do much, thawed. So very rarely would the snow stick. Even the F-16s here on really heavy snowy days, once you remove the snow, they were thawed. You might have to hit them with de-icer just to be sure, but overall they were thawed out and ready to go. So it really is more of an all or none situation. Obviously I'm going to work with it a little bit for artistic license, but I need to get that wet effect down first to kind of match the ground, because the mud being darker, right, the earth being darker, would thaw first because it absorbs more heat. Then the grass, being thinner and not as heat absorbent, would retain the frost a little bit longer. I can look at my own backyard on most mornings and see that. So I'm just trying to work with what I've got. I don't want to get like some form of wet effects that are enamel based, because you'd wind up putting it on having to remove half of it just to get it looking right, which feels really wasteful. Or I can just slowly apply it in layers and just build it up more cautiously, which I think would work better overall. Hold on. I gotta message Aries. I don't know if he's having trouble or what's going on, but he keeps popping in and out. Let's see what he says.
_studios said I am fine, just dealing with stuff.
Computer
And
stuff.
the model student 20 said soft, the tiger, it's German WW2 Jacob.
It's not even that. That was such a fucking disappointment. I watched it yesterday. Der Tiger, or The Tank on Amazon.
Paul said Twitch be twitching today. Has to reload mine a few times when I open Twitch today. Ivan Gamerolden just followed.
Ivan, welcome to the channel.
Stream Elements said welcome.
Thank you
to
for the follow.
channel, Ivan Gamerolden.
But it tried to be Fury, Saving Private Ryan, Dust Boot, and a little bit of The Keep. And it failed at all four. I mean, if it just stuck to one, even if they just retold the Battlefield 5 story of the Tiger crew, that would have been fine. But no, that was really, wow. I haven't felt that bored in a World War II movie since I watched any of the Saints and Soldiers films. And that's not a discredit to the actors. The actors actually did pretty damn good. They tried. With what they had, they tried. But wow, such an underdeveloped, underwhelming story. Before anyone says, well, could you do better? If given the chance, possibly. There was no core to the story. It was, drive here, get out of the tank. Ooh, landmine. Drive here, get out of the tank. Ooh, Germans committing atrocities during World War II. Drive here, get out of the tank. Oh, we're being ambushed by an Su-100. Drive here, get out of the tank. Oh, we're being ambushed by the Su-100 again. But wait, we destroyed it, but it seems like it got destroyed months ago. Wait, what? There was no connective, overarching story that you could easily follow. And it was garbage for it. It wasn't even Jacob's Ladder level. The only way it was Jacob's Ladder level is everything happened inside the guy's head between the time the tank got bombed and fell off the bridge. I don't care about spoiling it. No. Even the river scene was just, ugh. Even just slightly tighter editing could have done a lot for that film. And I called it from the beginning.
Student 20 said maybe
Maybe it's better with like 5 bottles of schnapps and not remembering even starting it. Yeah. I mean, again, could I do better? I don't know. Somebody give me that same budget and the time and means, and let's see what happens.
N3RDC3NTRAL asks any known actors in it.
Not to Americans that I could tell. Possibly to Germans?
Just found a lost pup and don't know what to do with it.
Oh.
No one will pick it up.
Send me a picture. Well, wait a minute, Aries. You didn't find a lost pup.
RS_studios asks
You didn't
why.
find a lost pup. You found the pup you're supposed to have. This is the puppy distribution system. You've heard of the cat distribution system. You were looking at one just the other week, and it didn't work. How's this one working out?
Studios said it's an ankle biter.
That doesn't matter. Is it just a little pup, or is it like... Is it a small dog, or is it just a puppy? And is it getting along with your dog?
At the model student 20 said lost pup found you.
Yep.
RS_studios said shit shoe. N3RDC3NTRAL said I have 2 chihuahuas and they are great.
Our neighbors have a Shih Tzu named Waffles, and a Chihuahua named Pancakes. And as soon as you go outside, the other kids named them, they start barking a little bit, but as soon as they see it's you and they sniff you, they shut up. Yeah, just because it's small, man, don't knock it. Wait, that's what she said. You were looking for a dog, doesn't always have to be a lab. I know you wanted a larger dog, but maybe this is the dog you're meant to have. Just be patient and try and give it some training.
N3RDC3NTRAL said we'll never own a big dog again. Even our second Kai turned out more dachshunds. At the model student 20 said
Yeah, now you can get 2.
too long.
Well, he'd already have 2 if he kept the 1. But I'm just saying. Have you had it checked for a chip? And if you really don't want it, just turn it into the pound. I'm not saying you should... I mean, if you want to keep it, but at the same time, I know what you want.
RDC3NTRAL said local vet should be able to check for a chip.
Well, even animal control can do it on the fly.
Model student 20 said 2.5 soul.
2.5 soul? What?
N3RDC3NTRAL said our animal control takes forever.
No, ours is pretty quick on the jump. I actually, my job, one of them works part-time there. And he tries his best. There's always the red tape, but he tries his best. Given that there's only 2 animal control officers for the entire district that he's in. Because you got to remember, animal control, they probably are one of the branches of community service that needs the most people, but they just don't have the funding or the budget for it.
At the model, student 20 said it's just a small dog, only counts as one half lol, good deal. N3RDC3NTRAL said yay, our county sheriff only has a couple for Cincy.
I want to say that's red. I'm picking up where we left off on the interior details before we clear coat it, give it a wash, and bash it up a little bit. Where did the fire extinguishers go? But I've also got some other things from it. That Tamiya set that I got, the Hoffman device for the M60, comes with a bench vise, which I've seen a lot of them have them mounted here from time to time. Hey, Alex. So I want to add that. It's got a couple more oxyacetylene bottles that go between the storage cases here. I just want to take a second to kind of fill out the interior a bit more. But I want to get the rest of it done first. I just need to find my fire extinguishers. There they are. Okay. So I can get those painted up on the tree. Let's get the lights painted first. So how's everybody been? New Year's getting started off with a bang for everybody?
N3RDC3NTRAL said spent my last day of Christmas break cleaning before painting some mini stuff.
Sometimes paint or cleaning can be rather cathartic though. Because while you're getting everything cleaned up, you kind of stumble upon things you've been looking for, or you think about what you want to do next while you're doing it, and the idea kind of crystallizes for you. That's kind of what happened with the M60, because New Year's Day, woke up, I didn't feel like sick, but just I was hurting all over, back hurting, brain hurting. So I just took that as a day. But while I was down, I started thinking of what direction I wanted to go with the M60. So I removed the frost from it and started working on the base a little bit more directly. So I think I found where I want to go with it. And then I just started doing it. So yeah, sometimes you just need a minute, you know? Okay, that's good. So the puppy distribution system did not pick you today. Gotcha. Shame. I know you're not a fan of little yappers anyway.
Studios said shit shuss are a lot of grooming.
Yeah, but if you train them right, they can be really good dogs. I know a lot of people don't care to train them, so you get the typical screaming little ankle biter that never shuts up. But if they're trained right, they're good little dogs. As far as the little breeds go, Shih Tzus are probably some of the better ones. You can't even see what I'm painting here. Oh, autofocus is really sticking me in the dick today, isn't it? How long's this been out of focus for? Nice. Give me a second, I gotta address this. There we go. Just every now and again, autofocus decides to just go full and then stop working. And for those wondering, we are at almost a full third of the way to saving up.
At Leo2A7DK said just now.
Yeah, just like now. There. Yeah, I need to find one of my GBU12s. Allie got on top of those display cases, knocked my F15E down, and one of the GBU12s is just, I don't know, maybe I gotta tip the couch up and see if it's under there. Okay, that is not the red I need. This is. I just felt I needed to take a break from the M60 while I just kind of let ideas circulate. So I want to get back to this. I'm still waiting for that Vincent kit to come out. It's any time now. Of course, they sent all the usual people test shots. It's like, come on. If I do make Vincent, though, do you guys want me to light it?
Already lit the fuse. You just haven't heard it yet. Come closer. I want to show you something beautiful. Something that bleeds. My mouth is a weapon you mistake for sanctuary. Every syllable drips slow, mercury on your skin. You thought love was safe here, but I've been weaponized since birth. Taught to kiss with fangs, retracted smile while the virus uploads. Into your bloodstream, into your belief system. Taste me and forget your name.
There we go.
I'm the sweetest infection.
I gotta stop splashing my water all over the place. Mwah.
Gave you beautiful extinction. Extinction.
Let's assemble the other oxyacetylene.
You wanted the danger wrapped in soft tissue. Craved the kind of woman who could ruin you gently. Obliged became the toxin you begged for. Every touch is a transaction. Every kiss a slow acting collapse. My heartbreak crystallized into something lethal. Taste me and forget your name. I'm the sweetest infection. Promised you forever. Gave you beautiful extinction. You're already dying.
Wow, everybody's so quiet today. I know I'm being quiet too.
You're already dying. Yeah, now you're addicted to the ache I manufacture. Built your dependency on my particular cruelty.
Ah.
Just redeemed 300.
Lasting insanity hears before it surrenders completely to this. You thought you could handle a woman made of venom, but I'm ancestral poison refined through generations of hearts that learn to harden into gemstones. Sharp enough to cut through your false bravado. Still,
At Leo2A7BK said made the Tamiya AAVR7A1 a long time ago. Wow, how modeling has come. All that interior. Super nice. Brings a little skills to the table, but
Actually, this kit falls together. You just gotta kind of check your fit because of the interior.
ever taste like this. Sweet. Corrosive.
Like I said earlier, though, I'm having a difficult motor skill day. This kit's going to come to life once I clear coat the interior and we're starting to do the washes. I need to see if Meng does a set of like antifreeze bottles, things like that. Drink bottles, beer bottles. I thought they had a box that had like antifreeze bottles and things like that in it. I remember seeing one.
AAVR7A1 said cold and screw in Denmark. Snowing right, but nice with a white curtain outside. Better than gray and rain.
It's raining right now. But yeah, it's raining right now, but it's the kind of rain that... And it's something that hit me kind of on New Year's, too, because it was raining that day. And you can... I used to like just taking my RC tanks out and go walking, you know? I'd throw some batteries in the pockets and just go. I can't do that here. Here I've got to get in my car, drive to some place where there's that kind of terrain. And it's not near, you know? So hopefully when I move, we'll get that kind of property again, where it's just backed up to some woodland with some trails in it. Because it's not like a heavy downpour rain, it's that light English rain that always seemed to fall this time of year. And it wasn't terribly cold either. I miss being able to do that. I really want to take my M113 out and get it all good and weathered up. That's a good place for it. Ew. it's AK that does that. What do you think, guys? Should I support the enemy? Looks like it's the only place I'm gonna get, like, antifreeze and oil jugs and things like that. I want stuff that I can fit in these. Thing is, it looks really generic. I could probably print out better ones. I like the way you think, and you came to that same conclusion right as I did. And something that looks a bit better, because these, that's the other thing with a lot of, like, that brand. If you look, the bottles are all European. So, like, here's the link, but yeah, the bottles don't look anything like what you would find stateside or even... Aw. Link didn't want to work. Whatever. Probably too long. Anyway, yeah, it seems like Twitch is having an aneurysm today. I had to reconnect, just to even select a category to stream in, I had to reconnect it like 3 times. But yeah, if you just search up 35th scale bottles, it'll come up on Amazon. But yeah, they don't look American, and I need American. So you're probably right, Aries. I'll just have to go look. We'll look on Thingiverse later. What is going on? I'm also having trouble minimizing and enlarging the window here. Got some dropped frames and nothing recent. I wish I could have done a New Year's stream, but another thing that I've noticed that I didn't want to get into this year it seemed to stand out more than others, and it seemed like everybody and their dead uncle was doing a year in review kind of thing, and it's like I get why people do it. Their site is not down for service. Their site no longer exists. Accurate Armor has dissolved. They announced that last year. But, no, what I was saying is, I get people want to do like a little recap of what they did in the year. That's great. But this year seemed weird. Like, looking back, this year felt unnecessary. There's, if you want to see what I did this year, you know, there's this tab that shows all my lives and my videos, and they've all got dates on them, so please, reminisce. I'm kind of trying to look forward more, you know, I'm looking forward to doing the, Back to Basics build. I'm looking forward to working on the Abrams and whatever else comes down the pipe. Oh, Alex, we're talking about the modified M113s with the 25 mils on top, called the YPRs. I ordered one. I found one for 24 bucks, the first edition AFV Club one with the resin equipment on the back, the crew stowage. It's on the way. So we're going to be doing a YPR. Like the 786 or something like that. I don't know. Let me look real quick. Purchases. Yeah, AAVR7A1. And this one comes with Bosnian markings. I think I've actually got pictures of it in one of the Peacekeepers guides. But I want to take my RC M113 out and get it nice and dirtied up. But yeah, I miss Accurate Armor. They did a lot of good stuff. But at the same time, in the intervening years, Dragon had between Dragon, AFV Club, and Meng, and even TACOM, aside from the 15th scale Scimitar, everybody is basically kitted what they used to make. They used to do the Conqueror, they used to do different versions of the Churchill and the Chieftain and all that, and all those, in one way or another, are available in plastic now. So basically their market was taken from them, but at the same time they didn't try and use new. You know, they kind of blockbustered themselves. They didn't try and embrace the new quickly enough. Or maybe they did, I don't know. But whatever it was, they weren't able to keep up, and they got outpaced. And I still think we might see a 16th scale CVRT series from Tongday in RC, because one of their M113 variants has the Scorpion turret. How could you have that asset and not use it to its fullest?
Leo 2A7BK said ours were a bit different. Called the PNMKM 113, PNMK Armored Machine Cannon. Also had a short lifespan like the M41BK1.
The ones I'm looking at, because you know what I'm talking about, right? The YPRs. Basically, they took an M113, and then just after the commander's hatch, they cut it in and then beveled the roof. Let me see, the PNMK 113. Let me Google that.
Leo 2A7BK said yep.
Oh, I see what you're saying now. Yeah, they didn't modify the hull as much. They just stuck a turret on it with a 25 mil. Okay. I might have to get another M113 and just do a regular Danish use one. What color was this bottle? Usually one's green, one's yellow, just so you know the difference. Or, in this case, silver.
At George Davis 7629 said no 135th Charioteer for me.
Was that an accurate armor kit? I could have sworn somebody did a Charioteer in 35th scale.
At
I mean, Nichimo did one back in the day.
George Davis 7629 said, "Ew, what Abrams are you doing?" Leo 2A7BP said, "But it looked hot with urban armor, outboard fuel tanks and the whole shebang."
Yeah. No, that's what I was going to do, though, is because a lot of the videos I've seen lately of the Danish M113s, they still have the corrugated armor on the outside. And the M1A2A3, or M113A2A3 fuel tanks. As far as the Abrams, George, it's the Italeri kit. It's the one that came with the engine, but the engine bay itself is so empty that I'm going to use the resin engine on something else. It's going to go with this. Because I want to give the crane some, merit in its own display. So I figured I'd just have it acting like it's lifting the engine pack. It's also got a partial turret interior. So I can show you the figures I ordered, and you can kind of put it together yourself in terms of what I'm going to do. But I want to do a camouflaged Abrams in Iraq, possibly in Bosnia, because it's more appropriate for the Bosnian theater. I just need to look and see if the Bosnian farmers look the same as this for the goat farmer. But yeah, I got this kit of figures, which comes with the crew and a goat herder, or a shepherd. But it doesn't have any of the there we go, that worked. It doesn't have any of the stuff like the square panels on the front of the turret, things like that. So it's not correct for... Ah, that felt good. It's not correct for like ultra modern post 2003 use. I noticed that they have the newer style track on it that uses the different drive sprocket. That was actually kind of cool. So I'd have to do an older one. But I can still find, as long as I can find one picture that has the same track, I can make it. I'm not worried about that. It's low on my radar right now. But you can tell from the artwork on the figure set, they're clearly meant to be an Abrams crew. Even the hatch that the commander's leaning on is an Abrams hatch. After I get all this painted, I'm going to lay down the clear coat and then take my first walk around break. It's been over an hour. And that should give the clear coat enough time to kick off, that we can come back and do some oil wash. Just painting up the Harbor Freight bench vise right now.
know there are tons of AI in this game.
That's just it. There's the M1A3, as I've seen it called, is basically an M1A2 SEP version 3 with trophy installed on the turret. What everybody else is calling the M1A3X is actually an essentially from the ground up new design that's supposed to be either electric or hybrid drive, whichever one, I don't know. I think it looks like an ugly piece of shit that's going to get taken out, and it's given up style for substance when it comes to the overall effectiveness and external outlook of the vehicle. Just like the Booker, I believe there was potential there. They over-designed it, overplayed it, and lost out. Because I can kind of understand their want for a smaller, faster-moving platform. And let's face it, the Abrams is over 40 years old. So yes, it is time to really devote some effort toward a new vehicle. But what's the thought process behind it? Are we designing it for tank versus tank slash open country warfare? Or are we designing it for more infantry support vehicle, urban warfare? Because right now, the way things are going, open country is a death sentence. And if you're going to go urban, you better have infantry support. What the fuck are those? I forget those anyway. We're seeing a lot of things right now that are changing how we think about our tactics. And it's almost forced us to revert back to 100-year-old ideas of entrenchment, which is not good. But as I've stated before, it's not always wise to use Russian vehicle tactics as an example either. Because if you look at their doctrine as far as their shoot and scoot and their movement, they're too hardwired.
I also love the KF-51 Panther, but before we go there, Leopard 2A8 with trophy. As much as I like a 130mm, you better watch your supply line.
And how much further are they going to go with the Leopard series? I mean, your turret is almost as large as your hull. Your target profile is literally tripled. That's not good. Especially on the part of your vehicles that's exposed the most. I mean, what makes more sense? The trophy system, which you still have to get out of the vehicle to reload it, as far as I'm aware? Or would it be better to develop something more like an internally loadable drum magazine fed shotgun that can track and shoot down drones? It almost feels like, I know trophy was meant for more ATGMs and larger things, you know, to shoot down Sager and other kind of missiles. it's going to have to do double duty now. Because a lot of what we've designed, especially in like the more recent 30 years, is still entrenched in an older, you know, squared up peer-to-peer environment. We still got things like the MRAPs, which are designed to do more with asymmetrical urban warfare, where you got insurgents putting bombs on the ground. And until we design a tank to deal with shit like that, there's still going to be big lumbering targets at this current time, until they're able to either defend themselves in a manner similar to Trophy against drones, because these cope cages they're making are bullshit. Once you put a hole in it, the next drone comes in. You need something reactive. Not reactive, you need something proactive.
Leo2A7BK said automated sentry with internal ammo supply.
Yes. Something you can reload from inside. Where the ammunition is effective enough but small enough you could host it inside the vehicle and not remove too much space from the crew. Because that's the key, because you got to have your core ammo for your main gun, your secondary ammo for your coax and your loader to fire, your 50 cal at the hatch if you have that for the crows. But Trophy's one big weakness that I've seen, just from its demonstration, you have to get out of the vehicle to reload its magazine. And like any ammunition-fed weapon system, it can run out. And it'll run out quickly when it's overwhelmed. How do you fix that? You have it reloadable from the inside. Now, I don't know how much Trophy carries, right? That's confidential, which is understandable. They don't want the enemy knowing, hey, if you fly 8 things at it, you'll overwhelm it. Or if you fly 10 things at it, 8 will get destroyed, you'll still overwhelm it. I get that. But the way things are going right now, they're not flying 5, 8, or 10. They're doing 30 after your ass. And if the first one doesn't work, there's another one waiting right behind it. It's gotten ugly. This is like street fighting with RC cars. So things are changing a lot. And it's going to become extremely deadly for everybody. We have to go simple again. And you look at these tanks with all this externally mounted stuff, and everybody touts it as, oh, it's good for crew protection, which it is. But I step back for a second and look at it and go, hold on a minute. It's good for crew protection when it works, but right now, it's more shit to break. And when it's broken, it's not working. And it's when it's not working, why have it? So what's simpler, Trophy or a shotgun that's just guided by the same kind of sensor system? I mean, we're talking something along the lines of the sentry turrets from Aliens mounted on a tank. But they wouldn't be MG3s. Or maybe they could be, I don't know. But basically, and I know they've got the systems that are capable of doing it that are simple enough. They've shown demonstrations of it, but you essentially just need...
Leo2A7BK said seen 2 Bradleys take out M290M.
There was more to it than that. They took out the optics, they took out the reactive armor, they took out the smoke dischargers. That's what you see cooking off and just going is the smoke dischargers. They completely riddled the outside of the tank. Okay, there was nothing left that was of use on the tank. And then to top that off, you're hitting the track, you're hitting the road wheels. Anything soft on that vehicle was getting demolished. Now, once you've done that, if you got a helmet, you know, go put a helmet on your head and start hitting it with a 5-pound sledgehammer at about the rate of a Bradley firing, or put it directly over your ear and do that. Think about what that crew must have been going through sitting inside a giant church bell being hit with 25mm sledgehammers. I can guarantee you that their ears, eyes, and any orifice was bleeding for them. So no, that's not a pretty fate, and I'm not trying to glorify that, but at the same time, that is an example of simple. All of the T90 systems are geared toward a larger, more decisive engagement, either via tank versus tank or RPG, right? Or infantry with RPGs. Nobody counted on somebody. Granted, we'd done it back in 92, 91. But nobody counted on somebody engaging the T90 with a fucking M2 Bradley's cannon. And I know they shot tow missiles at it too, but it was the cannon that did most of the work from the footage I saw. And again, that external armor is a good example of once you bombard something enough, it's gone. You're back down to your base T-72 hull and what it's capable of withstanding, and it ain't much. What was I going to do? Oh yeah, clear coat and then brake for a minute.
Leo 2A7DK said they put bling on a 70 tie frame.
Exactly. And that's the problem they were facing as well, is they couldn't sell the T-72 anymore to foreign investors because of how badly it did in Iraq. So what was their idea? Let's design a different ERA and sensor package for it. I don't know how well the Shotra system works to give a qualified statement on that. But judging from the iterations it's had over the years, it's probably lost quite a lot of its effectiveness as well. But essentially, it's exactly that. They took the T-72, dolled it up with some new parts on the outside, and then sold it as this new wonder tank. And everybody loved it, because it was the Johnny 5 tank with the angry eyes, you know? Which, you know, I've got a radio control version. It's okay. But when you can actually sit down and look at it, you can see that all it is a T-72 with new parts. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to work very well, guys. Even the T-80 is, you know, it's out. It's a T-64 with more parts. Granted, the Abrams could be considered a 70s frame as well, considering when it was designed and implemented. But at that time, we took a tank that had been changed and modified from the 40s up until the 70s, got rid of it for an all-new ground-up design. Same with the Leopard 2, the Challenger 2. Whereas there hadn't been much change, like the T-72's design. Yeah, it's called the T-72, but it was from the 60s. It's mechanically no better than an M60. So even the T-72, touted as being so modern, not so much. I know this model's taking forever. The M60's taking a while too, but I've gotten on quicker with that. I'm sorry if I'm being a lot slower on things lately. This goes back to what I was saying about the New Year's thing. Last year went last year went by so quickly. It feels like everybody's in a rush to get nowhere. And I was just thinking about how, maybe I should start off slower this year. Take my time on more things. And that's kind of what we're going to do, I know I've only been streaming when I want to, but even toward the end of this year, I kind of started to feel like I was under... And it's not from you, it's more just my own brain. But I was under some form of pressure to do more. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's not right. That's not helping me at all. So I'm not doing any of that year-end crap. I'm not doing any of that year in review or how much we're doing next year and all that. We're playing this shit one day as it comes, one model as it comes. No, aside from the back to basics build, no grand plans for anything. Because it's a hobby. If I wanted it to be my job, I'd work harder at getting sponsors, which I am not actively pursuing that. Because sponsors complicate things, especially when it comes to channel content. And I like doing whatever the hell I feel like doing. But yeah, the whole Bradley versus T90 thing, though, is actually... It's a good example of how passive defense systems can be overwhelmed and fail. Because you could tell the T90's armor was doing what it was supposed to do. But what happened after all those bricks were expended? And the T90 couldn't get out of there. I am just making a mess today, aren't I? And part of our doctrine isn't so much that, yes, it is we keep the crews alive because they're harder to replace than a tank. Right?
Said yes, and ended up in a tree, turret spinning.
Yep. So, but our doctrine isn't just about crew survivability, but it's also the weapon itself. What's the one thing that all the Russian tanks have that ours don't? Well, there's a couple things, but what the main thing that the Russians are always going apeshit over that they have that we don't. We have wonderful autoloaders, so our tank does not need to be as tall because we have 2 people in turret instead of 3. Yeah. Your autoloader is what's causing your shit-ass performance. Because in order for the autoloader to work, it has to be loaded like a shotgun with a drum mag, where the ammo comes around and gets fed up to the gun. So where do you keep all that ammo so it can be fed to the gun? At the base of the turret. Where's the base of the turret? It's the one weak point that everybody shoots at. In order for the Russians to break that, they would need to adopt the 4-man crew.
The turrets fly 50 meters up in the sky.
Yes, they're a constant winner of annual turret frisbee competition. Anyway, but in order for the Russians to truly advance their tank designs, because don't give me that T-14 Armada shit. If they had enough of them for them to be of any use, they'd be using them right now. And I don't think even one has been spotted, honestly. And if it has been, it wasn't engaged. But yeah, they would have to adopt the 4-crew-person mentality, get rid of their autoloaders, and completely revolutionize their tank design, which they cannot feasibly do right now because they've got so much tied up into all these designs based on the same exact template of autoloader and standardized height. They are so locked in on their bullshit that they can't think outside that box. And it's getting them shredded. And that's just their tank designers. That's not even the crews. The crews are probably like, what is this shit? Forbidden Death Frisbee, yay! Have you looked at what that thing's barrels do when they fire? I mean, yeah, if you're going for saturation, that's fine. But when your barrels are deflecting enough that you're shooting left and right when you should be shooting straight, no. And yeah, it's still a T-72 hull. No, that thing was designed completely for urban warfare and suppression, where they didn't have to know where the guy was. They just had to know the rough direction the guy was in and destroy the wall he was behind. Eventually, they'll hit him. With that kind of aiming, that thing's a rolling war crime. So, I'm going to pause, let that clear coat dry up a little bit, and take a move around break. I'll be right back.
Model student 20 said my granddaughter came by to say hello. Your year in review would have to be a 2-part miniseries. Lol, just joshin', but a lot of kids get built by you.
I don't flinch, don't miss, came from dirt, now I'm the hurricane. They want soft, I give them teeth. They want sweet, I give them steel. I was raised beneath the concrete. Survival made me real. Heavy intake, feel the rush, smell it, my lungs can't get enough. Heavy intake. Watch me detonate slow, every smile is a countdown. Tick, tick, tick. Soft thing with a hardcore. Tick, tick, tick. Fragile makes the best weapon. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna blow up this world. Boom, 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 boom. Volatile girl in your face. Demolition wrapped in skin. Boom, 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 They thought I'd crack quiet, implode like good girls do, but I learned to redirect the pressure outward. Vulnerability is just undetonated potential, high explosives personality. Can't contain it. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna blow up this world. Boom, 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 boom. Seismic when I walk through. Destruction dressed up pretty. I weaponize the soft parts, turn the ache into percussion. Every wound a blast radius. You will feel this.
Alright, I'm back. Sorry that took a little longer than usual. I was up looking for some chocolatey snacks. So, I found another chocolate orange.
RS_studios just for being free.
Alright. So we're going to give this a quick little detail wash. Just with the way, to me anyway, it felt like with the way the year went, I didn't want to spend too much time reminiscing. I just wanted to keep going forward. Where the fuck did I get this much yellow paint? Oh, there. Okay. When I moved the acrylic palette, I must have touched the yellow paint that was in there. Why am I getting yellow paint all over me? So I'm trying to adjust the hue and everything Seems a bit rich color-wise to me. Only so much I can do. Not wanting to reminisce aside, did everybody else have a good New Year? Doesn't sound like there's been any more family tragedies and all that since. I hope not. Who's that on my chair? We have Allie. Really? Let me get you a box. Give me a second. Here you go. There you go, girl. No, but George asked earlier what Abrams I was doing. I don't think I gave him a full answer on that. It's going to be the Italeri kit that came with the resin engine set and in partial interior. I know I tried showing the figures and it didn't go through. No, the figures did. It was something else that didn't. I think I'm going to need a larger brush again. That's better. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to go too far into, like, super detailing on this. There is one thing that's missing that I've got to add because it's going to bug the shit out of me if I don't. There's 3 lines that come off of this, which is the hydraulic control box that goes right underneath where the crane sits. And then they go down into the hydraulic pump assembly, which is right there. They're very obvious, so I need to add them. I haven't so much struggled the last week. I mean, everybody who's been watching has been great. Sorry, ears itching. I've gotten 10 more subs in the past 3 days. 4 days. Which, you know, to most people that's nothing. To me, that's a lot. Went from $6.99, I think on New Year's or New Year's Eve, to $7.09 now. So to everybody out there doing that, thank you very much. I'll try and keep up whatever it is I'm doing that keeps you guys coming back.
At the model student 20 said, love how a wash brings thing out.
Now, if I could get that many subscribers on Twitch, I could quit my day job. Almost. I'd need at least 1,000 paid subscribers on Twitch to even think of doing that. That ain't happening anytime soon. But YouTube is growing quicker than Twitch for me right now.
At the model student 20 said, very quiet New Year here, lol.
That's kind of what I want. I just want a quiet New Year. I want it to come in quiet and let the projects grow, just let everything just start building up. You know, let it build normally, not try and overhype things, not try and plan too much out in advance. But just kind of let things grow on their own. It feels like every time I try and force it, excuse me, or it feels like I'm trying to force it, it pushes back negatively. So I'm just letting it go and letting it grow. That's what she said. No.
At the model student 20 said, saw the figs on Amazon link.
And who knows, if the AAVR7A1 build goes well and it gets well received, maybe I'll save the Abrams as a follow-up to that. Same kind of, back to basics mindset, but using a resin set, using the resin interior set on it to add a little more.
Model student 20 said, delay from YouTube is super long today.
And see where that takes it. You know, start with the basics, just a kit, just a figure, just a base, basic groundwork type stuff, all literally the basics, you know. And then once we go from that, the next one could be adding resin aftermarket, adding photo etch. Because I've got either the Abrams with the resin aftermarket interior. It came with it, but it was made by one of the big companies back in the early 2000s. Or I can do the LAVM, kind of keep the family thing going there with the LAV series. Because it'll have a full stock interior. And I've also got the Black Dog engine set that is supposed to be here tomorrow. the LAVM is still on the way. It'll be here mid-month. Maybe I should just do a back to basics breakdown series on each one of those, keeping it familiar and showing how certain things get added to the model as you go, but still always emphasizing the basic skill sets, not trying to get into anything crazy like making your own resin parts out of, you know, mastering it and scratch building it and all that stuff, but just keeping it basically accessible to everybody. I think I've just been very sporadic when I do stuff like that, like this. So part of it is also to help me kind of streamline what I'm doing. So once you hear this, I'm going to be quiet for a moment. That way, if you want, you can hit refresh on YouTube on your screen. And you can let me know when you've refreshed, and we'll see if the delay is as bad or not. It could just be a latency issue. So 1, 2, 3, let me know when you've refreshed.
At the model student 20 said, I noticed your sub count was going up. Congrats.
Thank you. Okay, did I glue that one in, or is it just... I think I did. Nope, it's just on there by its own. Wow, okay. I just let out my inner Ellen Wilson. Wow! I also appreciate the feedback from the actual people that have worked on these, like the one viewer who actually was on M60s during Reforger exercises. He looked at that model and nailed exactly the look and feel I was going for. But that also lets me know that I'm doing it right if somebody who's been there, done that, can look at it and pick it up immediately. Hi, pretty girl. You happy you have your cardboard box with me now? Yeah?
The model student 20 said that kind of Twitch growth may require tassels of some sort. Lol.
Well, considering I've been on there for almost 8 years, you're probably not wrong. At the same time, models and miniatures have always been ignored on that channel, so it's no big surprise. But by this rate, in terms of followers, because a sub on YouTube is like a follower on Twitch. Let me refresh this just to see. And another 42 subs on YouTube will have surpassed my Twitch follower count.
At the model student 20 said good ideas.
And I think I might do another quick review video tonight. I'll have to see what I've got that I could do it on. Maybe again, keeping up with the LAV series, I could do it on the LAVC2. Since I've done the LAVR, and I'll have the LAVM next. God, they're getting almost as annoying as Humvees, aren't they? I still want to get the Bronco one. I'm just taking a break from them for a little bit. Yeah, I almost wanted to do the Abrams with this, to have this pulling the engine out of the back of it. But I saw how much of the engine bay was still lacking, and changed my mind. I'd rather button up the Abrams and have it looking more functional with the crew, and then just use that resin engine as the context for this.
At the model, student 20 said feeling refreshed delay is better.
That's good. It's probably going to get worse, so just, you know, periodically refresh it if you notice that it's really lagging. I can't tell on my end, really. Did I leave a piece out? I'm going to have to go back through the instructions really quick and just make sure. Just making sure that's getting all good and gunged up. Yeah, it's good to see steady channel growth. Would I like to see 1,000 by, let's say, summer? Sure. I wouldn't be surprised if it took me another year, though, to get 300 more subs. It took me just over a year and a half to get to this point, so realistically speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't until next year. But that can change. It feels like the more people see the channel, the more new people follow. So like every time I get a sub wave, it means something in the ether of the internet has put one of my videos out there somewhere, or somebody's seen a short that I've done. You know, just weird little coincidences like that. scrub that off there. Looks like I got a little blob of paint on the tip of the brush. I wasn't washing it anymore, I was blobbing it. Just making sure everything's worked down in there.
Studios said gonna get dinner, be back later.
Alright, have fun. What's for dinner? I think we're doing cheeseburgers here. Maybe we'll do fries in the air fryer. I don't know.
Model student 20 said mac and cheese here.
We just had that the other day, I think. So I'm just using a brush full of odorless mineral spirits to clean off a lot of the excess. I'm almost out of Q-tips. I think the brush does a slightly better job. If I come into anything I really need to get like really heavy duty on, I'll just use paper towel, dampened, and then do that. You got any good poutine recipes? How's your little Russian helicopter coming along? But you were saying something earlier about you felt like you were losing the mojo. That's actually not uncommon, especially around this time of year. Because, face it, we're constantly having to think up. Sorry, got an itch. What can I do next that would be interesting? Or how can I make the same thing I've been doing over and over again interesting? It gets tiring. For me lately, it seems like the Cold War to modern pre-2003 military stuff is kind of hitting the sweet spot more or less. So I'm sticking with it right now. Sorry, just taking another snack break. Feeling munchy. Pickle chips. Or dill pickle flavored.
At the model student 20 said, great, I have a bit to finish on the gas tank, but I've cracked the box and begun organizing parts.
Yeah, I was wondering what's been going on because you really haven't had many videos out. I know, I'm stuffing my face. I just need something to eat. Feeling more munchy than just chocolate orange.
At the model student 20 said, yes, I have been cramming a lot of stuff into the old dome. Between building and learning the editing and photo software.
Mm-hmm.
Said, I am for one not expecting you to do something. I jump in when I see you. As I said, it's always nice in your company, but never feel that you have to do this. Hugs from Denmark.
No, I didn't mean that in a way of like...
Student 20 said it gets a bit much and I back off for a few days.
Yeah, I didn't mean it as like I expect, or you guys expect me to do something. But in terms of me doing it, I have to think like, okay, I have to satisfy you guys, which that's pretty easy as long as I'm just here doing what I do for the most part. But what I'm doing also has to be able to snag in newer people too. So like I said, I'm going to probably get the final main elements of what I need for the Back to Basics build. And do a video just showcasing what I'm going to be using and what you need to get equivalent-wise if you want to follow along. It's up to you if you want to or not, but it's going to be kind of a primer for, okay, here's what we're doing, where we're going, why we're doing it, and here's what I'll be using to do it. And that way that...
At the model student 20 said, I knew what you meant by trying to make something that will be interesting. I don't want to bore or turn people off.
Exactly. And it's, again, it's not that I feel people expect it. But since I'm the one that's doing it, I put that expectation out myself. Because nobody's ever come in and said, I'm not going to watch until you start doing this or that. I'm going to do what I want to do. If you guys want to see something else, go somewhere else, you know? It's always been that way. Like if I decide to start doing Warhammer or D&D or anything like that, it's because I chose to. Okay, now we're kind of getting into Q-tip territory because the brushes just ain't cutting it.
At the model student 20 said I may start the old ICM grad truck so I can work along through each stage.
Yeah, the model used doesn't matter, right? It's just the fact that it doesn't even have to be an easy kit, but I picked a kit that, even though it's newer than the techniques we're going to be using, construction-wise it's no different than what you would have got in like the 90s or even the 80s, because Italeri was making a very similar LAV kit. Or no, Eschi did. Italeri, I don't think ever did the C2. It was always Eschi. But a kit of that type and parts breakdown was available at the time, you know, so I'm kind of trying to keep everything quick and easy and demonstratable. And then as we go into the next one and the next one, we'll start to add different things. But always keeping the basics in mind, right? And I may even throw in some what not to do's as a demonstration. That means digging real deep, because I might have to outsource some paints and supplies, and paints and supplies. I can't even talk right today. What's gotten into me?
At the model student 20 said I'm thinking the car build is going to be slow and methodical so the truck would be mint.
And at the same time, don't be afraid to use whatever techniques you want to make it your build. But I'm trying to do like an example of foundational stuff. Stuff that's getting ignored. Like, I had something show up in my shorts today.
20 said I have some Humbrol enamels.
There's a use for them. You can use those for washes too if you don't have access to oil paints. My first washes were Tester's enamel.
At the model student 20 said I could donate.
No, my first washes were Tester's enamels. I'm not kidding. I think even Humbrol has a slightly finer pigment than Tester's does. But where was I going? I was in the middle of a thought process and lost it. Oh, saw a video today. Somebody had masked off their tail on their airplane and they're laying down their unit markings. And the way they're going about it seemed just so counterproductive for what the end result was.
At the model student
I didn't
point
comment
said,
because
"I
it's
reused them on my mod.
it's just, you know,
I've seen excellent
kind of
stuff done
rage
with
bait.
enamels.
Oh yeah, enamels are not useless. It's just I've kind of gone away from them because one, they're harder to find for me, and two, I prefer the abundance of acrylics lately. Just like there's people out there that go to lacquers. Well, I'm sorry, lacquers aren't very easily available here. They're great in the Japanese market, but you also have the support structure there, the entire brand line being from that country. So if you need something more specific to make it work, you can get it. And yeah, you can get it online here, but it's hit or miss on Amazon for some things still. You know? I know most local hobby shops stock Tamiya. I know most local shops stock Vallejo. And what I mean by that is not like going to a shop that does only models, but like the RC store, Hobby Lobby, places like that. Places a beginning modeler will go to look for supplies. You know, not Walmart, but not a dedicated hobby shop either, like some people have in their cities. That's an unfair assessment of people's supplies, you know? Even modern kits have their moments when they need putty and stuff. Are they more well engineered? Yes. Does that automatically make them better? Not always. But like the old SE Italieri kit, I don't remember having to use putty on it.
At the model student 20 said I had to build a bedrock of experience with finishes on plastic before I started broadening the scope of mediums.
But I'm just going to go at it from a starting standpoint of, okay, you're 13 years old. You know, you've got enough skill set. You know how to color within the lines. You know how a brush works from your art classes in school, right? So we're going to set this age point at 13. You just went into a local RC shop looking to see what you could get, noticed everything was really expensive, but you saw this model kit on the shelf. You know? And we're going to go from that perspective. And then we'll go from there. I almost want to make a... That's why I wish I knew editing. I want to make a video version of the model building and diorama guide. Now there are areas in there where it actually does go into making your own molds and casting your own resin parts, but that's for the more advanced level stuff, which I could do. Problem is access of like casting resin. I don't mean printing resin, but the actual two-part, mix it up, throw it in, let it cure stuff. I haven't been able to find it anywhere. I can get the clear stuff. That takes 24 hours to set up, but I can't get the good old 5-minute pop your own parts resin. I can't find it anywhere. And I'm not claiming to be an expert at it, but I was good enough to be able to cast and mold a section of the Cygnus to make the missing third.
At the model student 20 said I noticed the experience more satisfaction completing an older kit because it delivers more of a challenge than shake and bake kits like Tamiya as in UG.
You're kind of right there. Not so much a challenge, but it allows us to use our brains a bit more. Like, you could, if you had the time and energy to spend, you could go into a Tamiya kit.
That's a great idea. You could go chapter or section by section.
I might do that, utilizing the books I've got, because I've got one that covers basic model building. I've got one that covers basic diorama, which would be more into just basing and arrangement. Not so much, oh, here's how you build a city. I don't have the room for that. But just basic composition, how to deal with groundwork, and how to deal with things like that. How to make the stuff. So you're right there. And then I've got the one on figures as well. And not only that, but the vehicle book, the diorama book, and the figure book also cover 3 or 4 different methods for painting figures, which I could go over. So you're actually kind of right, and that's the kind of feedback I want. We might do it just that way. But back to what I was saying earlier, somebody had a short, and they'd already masked off the markings for the tail, but they're doing that bullshit where they squiggle the white on in really, really tiny, minuscule squiggles, like the kind where it would take you an hour to paint this area, only to go back over and broad paint it like you were doing pre-shading. And I watched it and I'm like, the way it felt when I was watching it is, that's, to me, feels pretentious. It doesn't feel like, hey, I am building this model. It's like, look how I can draw this simplest task out to be the most ineffective. I'm like, oh, it really just, I hate fads. Fads in model building are like one of the stupidest things. Working out of camera again. Sorry, guys. Why does this feel so yellow still? That's better.
The model student 20 said, I've seen guys do a bunch of undercoat stuff that completely disappears after the top coat and earlight.
That's exactly what I'm talking
What was
about.
that for? Lol.
And you're like, is this just to show how pretentious you are? Because you're the only one that notices what you did there, when anybody else that looks at it would think you just kind of did it, got it dirty with a wash, and then maybe stippled it a bit to modulate it. Done. And that's exactly what I mean. It just feels so pretentious. Look at me, I'm using masks for all my markings. Because I'm too good for decals. You know, I get it. Some people like the painted on effect that, you know, using masking for all your markings gives. And unless you're really good at it, you can fuck it up real easy. But just the way that some people come across when they do it just is so off-putting as a modeler. And I get it. I'm waiting every day for someone to come in here and say, well, you're kind of hypocritical. I might be. But I'm showing what I'm doing but I'm not presenting it as what everybody should do. Which is why I'm doing this series on the basics, using these books as this is what the basics of everything is meant to be. Word it that way. Because there's always more than one way to skin a cat. But in this day of the way people overcomplicate things, there's no concrete, hi kids, this is how you glue it together. This is how you paint it. And if there are any videos like that, it's like, this is how you paint it. Spend $40 on this. Like, say you're painting the Millennium Falcon. It's not, oh, okay, you can just mix a little bit of white and a little bit of buff, get a grime color, paint it on. Or you can just go straight white, knock it down with a wash of burnt umber. Either way works. But it's no, you have to buy this specific set of paints from Hataka to replicate the starship colors, because only those colors can be used and none others. It's like, no. I think I've seen the channel, and there's some things he does that, you're right, it shows through, but at the same time, and that's the other thing you got to look at is even models in terms of like aircraft. I'd like to know where they're getting their ideas for this kind of modeling on the surface. I've never seen it. But that's just it, model student, is nobody's really showing the basics off anymore. And watch, now that I've said this, there's going to be 3 of the typical influencer types, the hoodies, the hats, the beards, the sunglasses indoors, always talking like this, those kind of guys. They're going to show up, and they're going to do it. And they're going to have slicker editing and all that shit, and they're going to do it before I can. I'm still going to do it, though, because it's what I've set out to do. I'm really not worried about what those fucks are doing anymore.
At the model student 20 said it's like a display of art techniques instead of accurate attempts at representing the subject.
Actually, you've hit the nail right on the head there. They're playing with how paint saturation and transparency can work, which I get, but I guess where I'm coming from is I've seen how that mindset can really start to tear a modeling community apart and make it so instead of people enjoying the hobby and doing it how they want to do it, they stop enjoying it because they can no longer do it how they want to do it. They want to do it how that guy's doing it. And when they can't do it how that guy's doing it, they get angry and they leave the hobby. Or if somebody critiques or criticizes the fact that somebody's doing it that way, they get angry. And they attack people that do it that way because they're no longer doing it the way they want to. They're not doing it for themselves. I wanted to check something. Destructions. There you are. That hole right there. I can't remember if I need something in there or not. I always strongly dislike the instructions in this kit.
Student 20 said it should be fun. I do it because it's fun.
Bingo! And actually, I get kind of a kick out of making fun of the people who take it to that pretentious nth degree. So, there is said hole. I see nothing going into it. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting a part. Nope. Okay. Time is it? 2:37. So we've got about half an hour more before I want to shut stream down and go have something to eat. So I'm going to set this aside. Let the wash dry up a bit more. And that'll give me time to look for antifreeze bottles, things like that. Things I can print out to put in it as well. We're going to get the M60. And we're going to start playing around.
That's what she said.
We're going to start playing around with moistness. Yes, we're going to get moist with the M60. Because, you know, the kids these days, they love the word moist. There's my fan brush. It's my biggest fan. Feels a bit stiff.
At the model student 20 said rolling on the floor, laughing emoji, rolling on the floor, laughing emoji, rolling on the floor, laughing emoji.
Just trying to get some other brushes that'll need to do this. That out of the way. Get this out of the way. Be right back. Just gonna grab the tank off the shelf.
At the model student 20 said Bungie dog back in 2.
Alright, and we're back. So we're gonna go a little slow at first. Take the turret off. Work on the lower hull first. And the great thing about this is I can always re-dull code it if I don't like it. So what you don't want to do is you don't want to load the brush up and just fully repaint it. You want to have the brush lightly wet.
Said I also like these streams of Pialpo making small dioramas from pre-cut templates. No talking, just showing. Some of them have some super skills too, like you.
Are you talking like the book nooks and things like that? Or where they just do it quietly? So you see how I'm just lightly putting it on and not even fully flooding the surface. For the upper surface as well, you might want to stipple it. Do it in crosses, swirl the brush. Because here, the rain or frost is just melting flat down. And leave some dry spots too. The dry spots help sell the fact that it's wet. I know that sounds weird, but right there. And I want to go through and do this first, which will make it look damp And also, don't have it be even. That's where we're going lightly, layer at a time, and doing different things to build up that unevenness. And let it dry too, because this will suck down, it will flatten out a lot. On the Sherman, the test bed that I did, this is one coat on the hull here. And it looked a lot shinier last night when I did it before I went to bed. It looked more like up here. When I woke up, it was like that. I just hope when I come along with the frost, and little bits here and there, they'll combine together and give that feeling of being wet and moist. And you notice how once I started getting on the angled front plate there, I started doing up and down motions, streaking it. Again, keeping in mind to be uneven. Go back up here real quick, get the hatch and the area behind it. And it also lets your brain believe, hey, these leaves are sticking to this thing because it's wet. You know, like they fell on it, froze in place, it started to thaw, so they're still stuck there. And if I can pull off the frost effect right, now that I've tested that enough to know kind of how it works, the leaves would remain frosty a little bit longer, so I can basically hit them with it individually and let them frost up. Yeah, when it comes to doing wet stuff, and this is why I don't really advocate using like the MIG or AK stuff. They rely on it being an enamel and that you can put it on and wipe it off. That to me warrants excessive use and not as much restraint. This, being more restrained is better, I think. You don't go too wet. You don't go too crazy. Like, is that starting to read wet to you? It doesn't look like it's just glossed and not done right. It's reading wet, where some of the dirt that's still in the cracks that's built up is reading dry, because they'd still have a dry texture unless they were saturated too. But let me know if this is starting to look right, to the camera at least. Because the base itself is also gloss coated on the mud, and it's got the frost and it's got the leaves, so there's elements there, and I'm trying to kind of pick them up, put them on the tank a little bit too. Tie it all together. And it would thaw and dry unevenly, too. Trying to get the brush open a bit. That allows for more randomness as well. And you might have happy accidents like the streaks and stuff. Another reason you don't want to just glob it on there, you don't want to get down in the recesses of the grills here too much. You want to keep them kind of flat just for their own contrast. Help sell that open effect.
At the model, student 20 said, "Love the leaves."
Well, they're all part of helping to sell that fall, winter feeling. Because there's trees here. It's beginning of January. We've only had one snowstorm that really built up to anything so far this year. We've had a few rainstorms. Nothing really knocked the leaves off the trees, so they're still here. There's still plenty of yellow, old leaves hanging onto the trees around here. It's kind of what inspired the look for me. So they're going to be falling now and kind of, you know, winding up on the ground on top of the snow and ice. If it snows. It's supposed to start snowing in the next day or two. We'll see about that. Every time the forecast says snow, it switches to rain and then disappears. So let's see what it says right now. Yep, rain all day until tomorrow. Maybe snow by Wednesday. But that's starting to look wet to me, especially right there where it's kind of running down the front.
At the model, student 20 said, "You got a dump this weekend."
Oh, it's pissing down rain today. If it was snowing today, we'd have a good foot on the ground easy. It's been raining since last night. This is actually starting to feel like... This is feeling cold and wet to me.
Model student 20 said, "The layers of street zest really working well. I like this technique."
And you know what I'm doing to make it? I'm using this. On the sides here, we can do a little streaking. That's the one bad thing about this tank. I just realized if this was an Abrams, this would be perfect. That thing's got plenty of like really flat sides on it to really showcase off those streaks. Outside of the turret, this doesn't have shit for that. Not to do it easily. So. But you remember, you got to keep your brush damp, but not loaded. Because if you load it, you can easily flood the surface and kill the effect. Future can work. That's essentially what this is. It's just cloudy out of the bottle instead of, you know, clear. And then you just go back over it lightly to add a little more. Almost like dry brushing with clear for the second pass. Pop those edges out. And the more like open the end of the brush is, the better. Because it just adds to the random streaks. Like for the front, for the plow, we're going to go to the fan brush.
At the model student 20 said looks slippery.
That's the idea. I want it to look kind of like icy, because I might go back with some of the frost effect and just throw some in here and there in the cracks, just to look like built up, that hasn't melted yet.
At the model student 20 said thumbs
So
up.
you want the fan brush to do that. Again, you don't want it loaded, you just want it wet. You want it damp. Okay, and then just begin streaking it on. Like that, and you'll see how it leaves almost individual streak marks. And that's about the 10th time I've broken that 50 calibers fucking barrel. And if you want to add more, you just go back over it. Don't trace over the exact same spots, and that allows the water to build up and look like that. Same thing on the sides here.
At the model student 20 said looks like you might buy it running across the top of that tank thumbs up emoji.
What do you mean? Why did the music stop? Is that over already? I thought that was a 2-hour one. Give me a second.
At the model student 20 said that thin layer of half melted ice on everything.
Sorry, I'm just looking for something. Yeah, that was. Okay. We'll do this one.
At the model student 20 said when everything is slippery.
Well, the thing is, you can't really do this effect up here, because up here it pools and puddles. It doesn't streak, right? There's not enough angle to the surface for it to streak. So here on the front, the streaks work. You know, same thing on the sides of the air cleaners here. Streaks work. But on the tops, you want it more
At the model
mottled and
student 20
stipply.
said usually that time of year too when rain and snow and yuck all come together.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could use this in another way, I guess, just by, you know, stippling it like that and just rotating it just to add more of the randomness. But it's too linear. I'd rather use a more linear or a more round or square brush to do it that has more surface area. For right now, I'm going to let that sit. I like about where it is right now. There. On there. Because I've seen some examples where people just kind of go nuts and they make the entire model shiny like it's in a Blade Runner style downpour. And Yeah, if you want to do it that way, you can, but here's the issue. How are you conveying to the viewer that it's raining that much? Right? I'm sure somebody out there has this long, extensive process for replicating rain drips and ripples on the top. I don't have time for that. Another good thing about the fan brush is it's long enough that you can kind of get it in and under and tie it all together. I'm going to wash that out for a minute. We're going to work on just the top.
At the model student 20 said me neither no time dips and drops.
Is this the one I was using? I'm going to use it anyway. And I'm leaving the 50 cal barrel off until I get back to it. Actually, so I don't lose it. But this also works together with the mud that's already on to break up the surface. Because even my own car after a rainstorm won't be uniformly wet. It's got crap paint, so I don't waste a lot of time waxing it. No, that's how that last one broke off, damn it. Okay, you're broken off too then.
At the model student 20 asks, speaking of cars, you got your replacement okay?
Yeah, we got enough between the medical and suffering side and the payout for the Fusion itself. My wife was able to get a very low miles 2013 Mini Cooper Countryman All 4S. So she is very happy with that.
The model student 20 said, cool, awesome. That's me bit removal machine when I get near the end sometimes. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Yeah, I don't like when it happens. It just
Davis,
ticks me off.
7629 said minis are nice real cars.
They are.
At George Davis,
I don't really see a lot of problems with them.
79 said except the Countryman, haha.
Why not the Countryman?
Model student 20 said face with tears of joy emoji.
It's a 13, so it's the end of that first version of it. So it doesn't have all the problems that the first years did. It's had a lot of good maintenance. We looked up the history on all the usual sites, and it was well taken care of. It was loved. Now here's the cool part that I hope works. Wet cardboard. I hope it stays the darker shade on top. And the camo netting that seems to get 10 times heavier when it's wet.
At the model student 20 said I had a Kia Soul for a couple years. I loved that little critter of a car.
See, the Kias are the ones here that have trouble. The only Minis I've ever really dealt with that have issues are the ones that just have not been maintained. Like, ever.
The model student 20 said cargo looks great.
Still a lot of areas on the roof that look uniformly flat, so... Might break the fan brush out for a little bit just to finish up this side, or see if I can get this guy far enough because it's a bit more flexy.
At the model student 20 said mine was a 5-speed. I traded it before anything could go wrong. Lol.
Yeah, just all the ones here seem to eat their own engines. And I am trying to give the look of the upper surface as being more wet than the sides. We're going to need the fan brush again. You sure you get your fingers going?
At the model student 20 said definitely a very cool build.
One of my more involved ones, to be sure. A couple firsts on this one. I've never done a tree as I've done on this one. Never done frost or snow like this. It's more of like a heavy hoarfrost or a light snow than it is straight up snow. I'm stretching my legs a little bit, but I'm also looking at how to do certain things, seeing what the wonderfully named companies do it with, and then I go, okay, what do I have here that I could do the exact same thing with, easier or better? And I've looked up what other people have achieved using the so-called wet effects fluids. Don't like them. They don't work the same. They don't have that same look. If I had to describe it, I'd say...
Student 20 said new day, all the years and still new things to do and learn. I love it.
This, the material I'm using right now, with the flat paint and the mud stuff and all that, and it would do the same thing with my caulking, or not caulking, the spackling compound, the filler, it would react the same way. It's allowing... It basically acts like scale water almost, which is weird because you can't scale water. But the way it seeps into the flat paint and levels out and then dries, the thickness is more scale to what water would do if you were able to scale it down. Right? Does that make sense?
At the model, student 20 said spackle.
So if you were able to scale down water and what it does on flat paint and dirt, this to me feels like more of what it would do than the so-called wet effects from the big guys, so, you know, so to speak. Because I looked at the examples that I could find out there, and either A, it's all from Wargaming Minis, which is a completely different... It's a completely different size and way of working it. You want over-exaggeration in that. I'm looking more for subtlety, and this gives me the subtlety I want. I didn't want the overdone look of it like I've seen. And like I said, it's thin enough and subtle enough that if I screwed it up, I could just put another flat coat over it and go a different direction.
Student 20 said wouldn't be able to do that using resin or stuff like that.
Yeah, which is why I was like, nah, I can't do the casting resin stuff, right? Or not the casting resin, but the UV resin. It doesn't work the same. Now the one place you can load the brush and put it on a little thick is on the suspension. yeah, look at how that plow blade dried. Just enough streakage, and in person it's even more obvious. So yeah, if you wanted to just load up the brush and quickly slippy slap it around in here, just to make the road wheels look wet. And again, you don't want to have it like freshly sprayed down with a hose wet. But just enough to give a shine to the mud. Same thing up here, especially on top where the mud's falling off the track and sticking. Streak it down the side a little bit. And I don't even know if one of the modeling books I got even covers how to do this kind of stuff. So I might have just come up with a simpler way of doing it that most people can do with off-the-shelf stuff. You can even see right there on the sides. Come on. Autofocus, stop being a tightwad. There. Right there on the sides, all nice and streaky, even with the mud. And my wrist just snapped. There you go. And something quick and dirty you can do is like a core for icicles that you could then use like canopy glue or clear part cement on. Stretch out sprue to different thicknesses. And use that tapered base where it stretches as the base for your icicles. That way you have clear stretch sprue cores to provide rigidity, and then you can put the clear part cement or the what's it called? What's that stuff called? Microcrystal clear on to give it that thicker icicle, not perfectly straight feel. Couple little streaks under the hull. Okay. What do you think? A bit more wet up top on these flat surfaces? Just a little more stippling? Or is that about right? Just for... I think a little more... just on these larger areas. not evenly either. We want it to be
At the model student 20
patchy.
said she looks pretty good pro here. At the model student 20 said from.
Yeah, I'm never laying it on thick enough that it comes up as like gloss paint. Which is essentially what this stuff is. And that's all they're really selling you in the wet effects bottles too. It's just a gloss enamel. This is an acrylic. But what they're selling you in the wet effects, so you can adjust it and modify it and remove it. It's a gloss enamel. Probably formulated to some other kind of requirement, but in the end it's a gloss enamel. That's all you're paying for. There we go. And that'll tone down a bit as it dries.
At the model student 20 said with the fill in the base with the crew tying everything together, that wet finish will really sell the scene, so to speak. At George Davis 7629 asked, so gloss enamel for wet effects?
That's essentially what they're selling you from the big acronym companies. Because they want it so you can put it on, and if you overdo it, you can use a brush with mineral spirits to remove it, or adjust it, or thin it. Or you can just use a good fluoroacrylic like I just did. Go slowly and work up the effect to the shine that you want, instead of
At the model student
possibly
20
overdoing
said
it.
gloss enamel would work, I would think.
It would. It depends on the company. Some might yellow quickly. There's some gloss enamels that can and will do that. But I think it's selling the idea of wet, as the Russian badger would say. I'm gonna glue this back on. And that's all I'm really trying to do, is give the impression, once you see the frost on the base, maybe some around here,
Student 20 said
you know,
nice.
you'll get the impression that it's cold and wet and it's been frosted and it's thawing, and you know, it's just a cold, cold day. Thing 1 and Thing 2 want to come out and play. Now I'm going to use this because it's not going to react negatively, but the effect you don't want is that.
At the model
You don't want it
student
just
20
wet,
said moist
you
candy.
know?
Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
You just want moist.
At the model student 20 said admitted.
The reason I use the accelerator is it's not going to react negatively to the finish. But yeah, you flood that surface and you lose the scale effect. Like, you see how that accelerator went into the grills? Those are open all the way through. They wouldn't retain fluid like that and look like that.
20 said yay.
Moist. That needs to be a ringtone. Who wants to buy my moist ringtone?
At the model student 20 said all of a sudden the bubbling begins.
Oh god, don't even say that. I've had models do that.
At the model student 20 said just kidding, grinning face with sweat emoji.
I've got to make one for that site anyway. Yeah, that one finally gave up the ghost and went bye-bye. I've got the wire to do it, so it's no big deal. But I might let this set for a little bit and then come back and look at it to make sure that everything kind of settled properly. Because as I said, this stuff can shrink down and go a little duller over time. Not like over years, but over the next day. So I just want to be sure that it stays like that and still registers like that. But it looks right to me. Just enough dry area to show contrast enough to bring the streaks to life. I may not even frost it. Yeah, I like how that looks. I'm happy with it. I wouldn't mind having another few experiments with it in the future.
At the model student 20
But
said she is looking very dramatic.
yeah, it's got life to it that no amount of pigments or effects, fluids, or anything like that can really bring to it. There's something just there.
At the model student 20 said looking really good right now for sure.
It's the first time I've done this. See, there's a first time for everything for everyone. If it snows Wednesday, what I'll do is hopefully we'll have the crew done by then. I might do a stream Wednesday painting them. If it snows outside with the frost on the base, I'll put everything together, take the turntable out since it's battery powered, and do a short with the snow as the background. Now, even the barrel looks... I could use some more on the side. But yeah, it's getting there. But we're going to wrap it up. We had a good 3.5 hour stream today. I'll be on again tomorrow since I'm off tomorrow. Don't know when I'll be back after that. It's another 5-day, maybe 6-day stint before my next day off. Right now we've been Sunday, Monday. We could go back to Monday, Friday, or Monday, Saturday. I don't know. We'll play that by ear.
At the model student 20 said it definitely
Yes, it
looks
definitely looks moist. which is what I wanted. It looks sticky, like if I were to touch it I'd get wet, you know? But it's the unevenness you
Model
want.
student 20 said cool
So-
see ya tomorrow.
Yep, I might do a little more work on the AAV off stream just to get it further forward. Probably some decals, little things like that. And then, yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Don't know what we'll work on then. Maybe paint the crew figures for this, so they're ready for Wednesday's snowstorm, if we have one. I don't know, I gotta work Wednesday, so knowing my luck, I have to be in at 7. It'll snow just in time for me to have a nice, fun, snowy ride to work. Or home. But yeah, see you all tomorrow. Thanks.